Despite these challenges, Volodymyr remained undeterred. He continued to campaign with the same vigor and authenticity that had marked his entire journey. He knew that his unconventional approach was more than just a strategy. It was a reflection of his commitment to being a different kind of leader, one who didn't just speak to the people but spoke with them. As the campaign drew to a close, it was clear that Volodymyr Zelensky had changed the face of political campaigning in Ukraine. Whether he won or lost, his campaign had ignited a spark of hope and involvement among the Ukrainian populace, proving that even in politics, a little innovation and a lot of sincerity could go a long way. Chapter 9. Winning the Vote. The atmosphere was electric in Ukraine as the 2019 presidential election approached. After a campaign unlike any other, filled with innovative strategies and direct engagement with the people, Volodymyr Zelensky stood on the brink of a new chapter in his life. The country watched with bated breath as the polls closed and the votes began to be counted. This was not just an election night. It was a moment that could change the course of Ukrainian politics forever. As the first results started to trickle in, a wave of anticipation swept across the nation. Volodymyr and his campaign team gathered around, eyes glued to the screens showing live updates. The numbers were more than just figures. They were a reflection of the people's voice, their desire for change, and their trust in a man who had dared to dream differently. Volodymyr's approach throughout the campaign had been groundbreaking. He had reached out to voters through social media, shared laughs and serious thoughts alike, and held rallies that felt more like community gatherings. This connection with the people, this genuine interaction, had struck a chord. As the results continued to pour in, it became apparent that this chord had resonated deeply across the country. By the time the final votes were counted, the outcome was clear. Volodymyr Zelensky had won the presidency by a landslide, securing an overwhelming majority. The victory was staggering, not just in the numbers but in what it represented: a collective yearning for a new direction, for leadership that brought with it hope and integrity. The night of the victory, Volodymyr addressed the nation. Standing before a crowd of thousands, with millions more watching on television and online, he was no longer just a candidate. He was the president-elect of Ukraine. His speech was heartfelt and humble. He thanked his supporters, not with grandiose promises, but with a commitment to serve with the same authenticity and openness that had characterized his campaign. "I am not a politician," he said, his voice steady and sincere. "I am just like you, a servant of the people, and together we will work towards a better Ukraine." The response from the crowd was overwhelming. Cheers and applause echoed through the square, resonating with a sense of shared victory and shared responsibility. It was a moment of unity and hope, a stark contrast to the cynicism and division that had often plagued Ukrainian politics. In the days following the election, Volodymyr's victory was analyzed both at home and abroad. Many pointed to his unorthodox campaign as a blueprint for future political engagements. Others debated the implications of having a president who came from outside the traditional political sphere. What was undeniable, however, was the public's overwhelming support for Volodymyr. They had voted not just for a man, but for a movement, for an idea that politics could be different, more transparent, more connected to the needs of the people. As Volodymyr prepared to take office, he knew the road ahead would be fraught with challenges. Leading a country, especially one facing economic issues, geopolitical tensions, and internal divisions, would require more than goodwill and popularity. It would require wisdom, patience, and an unwavering commitment to the promises made during the campaign. However, Volodymyr was ready to face these challenges head-on. His journey from a comedian to the president had been extraordinary, but it was also a testament to his resilience and his willingness to learn and adapt. He surrounded himself with a team of experienced advisors, seeking guidance from those who knew the intricacies of governance, while also keeping his approachable, down-to-earth style. Chapter 10. Presidential Challenges. Volodymyr Zelensky's early days in office were marked by a whirlwind of activity and a steep learning curve. As he transitioned from the role of a public figure and entertainer to the president of Ukraine, the expectations were high and the challenges formidable. He faced a complex array of issues, both domestic and international, that would test his resolve, his leadership skills, and his ability to navigate the intricate world of politics. From day one, Volodymyr was thrust into the deep end. The country he had vowed to serve faced economic uncertainties, entrenched corruption, and ongoing conflicts in the eastern regions. Each issue was a giant puzzle, and as the new leader, he was expected to provide solutions that previous administrations had struggled to find. Domestic challenges, economic and corruption issues. One of the most pressing issues was the economic state of Ukraine. Despite rich agricultural lands and a robust industrial sector, the country battled economic instability. Unemployment rates were high, and economic growth was sluggish. Volodymyr knew that to win the confidence of the people and stimulate the economy, significant reforms were needed. Corruption was another persistent challenge. It was a problem deeply rooted in the Ukrainian political system, affecting everything from small government contracts to large infrastructure projects. The public's trust in the government was waning because of this, and addressing it head-on was crucial. Volodymyr launched a series of anti-corruption measures, advocating for transparency and accountability. He pushed for the establishment of a court specifically tasked with handling cases of corruption, hoping to set a precedent for integrity and justice in Ukrainian politics. International relations and diplomacy. On the international front, Volodymyr faced the daunting task of steering Ukraine through complex geopolitical waters. Relations with Russia were particularly strained due to the ongoing conflict in eastern Ukraine and the annexation of Crimea. He had to balance firmness and diplomacy, ensuring Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity while seeking peaceful solutions to conflicts. Relations with Western countries, particularly the European Union and the United States, were equally crucial. Volodymyr worked to strengthen these ties, seeking economic assistance and security guarantees. His efforts to align more closely with the West were aimed not only at gaining political support, but also at attracting foreign investment to boost the economy. Leadership tests, navigating crisis. Perhaps one of the most unexpected tests of his leadership came with handling crises that required immediate and decisive action. One such instance was the environmental disaster that threatened a major region in Ukraine. Volodymyr had to coordinate emergency responses, involving everything from evacuation plans to international aid requests, all while keeping the public informed and calm. Another significant test was in the realm of healthcare. When a health crisis emerged, threatening public health and safety, Volodymyr's administration was on the front lines. His approach was to be transparent with the public about the challenges and the measures being taken, often addressing the nation directly through televised updates. The learning curve. Throughout these initial challenges, Volodymyr's inexperience in traditional politics was both a hindrance and an asset. He often approached problems with a fresh perspective, not bound by the usual political constraints. However, the complexity of governance sometimes required more than innovative ideas. It required experience and a deep understanding of political machinations. To navigate this, Volodymyr surrounded himself with experienced advisors and took to studying political science and history in his spare time. He was a quick learner, eager to absorb as much as he could to make informed decisions. His commitment to learning from both successes and failures shaped his approach to leadership, making him a more reflective and thoughtful leader. Public support and scrutiny. As he tackled these challenges, the public watched closely. Some were skeptical of his ability to transition from a comedian to a serious politician, while others remained hopeful that his unconventional background would bring about the change Ukraine needed. Volodymyr was under intense scrutiny, and every decision he made was magnified and debated. In these early days, Volodymyr's presidency was a testament to his resilience and determination. The challenges he faced were immense, testing his capabilities and resolve. But with each challenge, he learned valuable lessons in leadership, governance, and the power of sincere commitment to public service. Chapter 11. A New Vision for Ukraine. Volodymyr Zelensky's presidency marked the beginning of a new era in Ukrainian politics. With fresh ideas and a commitment to change, his vision for Ukraine was clear and ambitious. He aimed to transform the country into a modern state, rooted in democracy and the rule of law, a place where corruption would no longer hinder progress, and where citizens could feel their voices were truly heard. After taking office, one of Volodymyr's first actions was to lay out his comprehensive plan for reform. These reforms spanned various sectors, from the judiciary and economy to healthcare and education. Each reform was designed not just to change policies, but to rebuild trust between the government and the people. Volodymyr believed that for Ukraine to thrive, it was crucial to establish a government that operated transparently and was accountable to its citizens. In the judicial sector, Volodymyr's reforms aimed to overhaul a system long plagued by corruption and inefficiency. He introduced measures to ensure greater scrutiny of judges, including a new system for assessing their qualifications and integrity. These steps were intended to restore the public's faith in the judicial system, making it a cornerstone of justice and fairness in Ukraine. Economic reforms were equally critical. Volodymyr focused on creating a favorable environment for both local and international businesses. This meant simplifying the tax system, reducing bureaucracy, and fighting corruption aggressively. By doing so, he hoped to attract foreign investment, boost the economy, and create jobs. These economic policies were geared towards establishing a stable foundation for long-term growth and prosperity. Healthcare and education also received significant attention. Volodymyr championed the modernization of healthcare facilities and services, ensuring that all Ukrainians had access to quality medical care. In education, his administration worked to improve standards, update curriculums, and equip schools with the necessary technology to prepare students for a rapidly changing world. He believed that investing in education was investing in the future of Ukraine. Another key aspect of Volodymyr's vision was addressing the ongoing conflict in eastern Ukraine. He sought peaceful solutions and worked tirelessly to bring stability to the region. His approach included negotiating ceasefires, engaging in international diplomacy, and providing support to those affected by the conflict. Volodymyr's commitment to peace was driven by his belief that a secure and stable Ukraine was essential for the nation's overall growth and development. Throughout his presidency, Volodymyr used his platform to engage with the public directly. He frequently held press conferences, used social media to communicate policies and updates, and traveled across the country to speak with citizens face to face. This level of engagement was unprecedented and demonstrated his dedication to being a leader who listens and responds to the needs of his people. The challenges facing Volodymyr were daunting, but his commitment never wavered. He understood that real change takes time and that setbacks were part of the journey. Despite occasional resistance and criticism, he remained focused on his goals, driven by a vision of a Ukraine that could be prosperous, just, and a respected member of the international community. His approach to governance was a refreshing change for many Ukrainians. Volodymyr's leadership style, open, inclusive, and dynamic, breathed new life into Ukrainian politics. It inspired a sense of hope and optimism, encouraging citizens to take an active part in their country's future. As he implemented these reforms, Volodymyr faced the reality that change is a gradual process. Not all his initiatives were met with immediate success, and some required adjustments and perseverance. However, the direction he set for Ukraine was clear. His vision and reforms were not just about reshaping policies, but about fostering a culture of integrity, innovation, and inclusiveness. Chapter 12. Global Stage. Volodymyr Zelensky's ascent to the presidency thrust him onto the global stage, a realm where every word and decision can tip the balance of international relations. As a newcomer to politics, his approach to global diplomacy was closely watched both by his allies and adversaries. Zelensky's background in entertainment was untraditional, but it endowed him with unique skills, charm, wit, and a keen ability to communicate that he adeptly used to navigate the complex world of international politics. As the leader of Ukraine, a country straddling the geopolitical fault lines of Europe, Zelensky's primary challenge was to bolster Ukraine's sovereignty while fostering strong relations with both Western and Eastern powers. His role on the global stage was crucial, especially in seeking support for Ukraine amidst ongoing tensions with neighboring Russia. One of Zelensky's first significant international tests came with a visit to the United Nations General Assembly. Here, he was not just a representative of Ukraine, but a new voice in a forum of the world's most powerful leaders. His speech was pivotal. It needed to assert Ukraine's position, highlight the challenges it faced, and seek international support and recognition. With the world's eyes upon him, Zelensky delivered a compelling address that combined earnestness with eloquence, appealing to the global community for solidarity and support in Ukraine's fight for territorial integrity. Following his UN debut, Zelensky's diplomatic efforts intensified. He embarked on a series of state visits to European countries, forging relationships with leaders across the continent. In these meetings, he discussed not only security issues but also economic partnerships, showcasing his vision of a modern, resilient Ukraine integrated into the European economy. These interactions were critical in strengthening economic ties and securing political backing, which were essential for Ukraine's stability and growth. Zelensky also sought to reinvigorate relationships with key allies, including the United States. His meeting with the US President was of particular importance, given the significant military and economic support the US provided to Ukraine. In this high-stakes encounter, Zelensky demonstrated his diplomatic acumen, balancing the need to secure continued assistance with the desire to showcase Ukraine's growing independence and capability. The talks were successful, reaffirming support and deepening cooperation between the two nations. However, not all of Zelensky's international engagements were straightforward. His interactions with Russian officials were especially fraught, given the ongoing conflict. These meetings were a delicate dance of diplomacy, where Zelensky had to assert Ukraine's stance while exploring avenues for peace and conflict resolution. His strategy was marked by a firm commitment to Ukraine's sovereignty and a pragmatic approach to dialogue and negotiation. Zelensky's ability to connect with both the public and leaders globally was also seen in his adept use of media. Recognizing the power of communication, he frequently addressed the international community through press conferences and interviews, where he spoke candidly about Ukraine's challenges and achievements. This transparency not only bolstered his image as a sincere and dedicated leader, but also kept Ukraine's needs and aspirations in the global spotlight. Throughout his early years in office, Zelensky's journey on the global stage was a testament to his rapid evolution from a national celebrity to a respected world leader. His every step and decision were guided by a clear objective: to enhance Ukraine's international standing and secure a prosperous and secure future for its people. Navigating the intricate world of global politics required Zelensky to employ all his skills: diplomacy, communication, and a deep understanding of both the stakes and the possibilities. Each international meeting, each treaty negotiation, and each public appearance were parts of a larger effort to redefine Ukraine's place in the world order. Chapter 13. Crisis Management. Volodymyr Zelensky's leadership was put to the test in an unprecedented way when Ukraine, along with the rest of the world, faced the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic. The crisis demanded swift, decisive action and showcased not just the resilience of a nation, but also the adaptability and strength of its leader. As news of the virus spread and the first cases appeared within Ukraine's borders, Zelensky was faced with the daunting task of safeguarding public health while trying to minimize the economic fallout. The situation was dynamic and required a response that was both firm and flexible. With limited experience in crisis management, Zelensky approached the challenge with a resolve to learn quickly and act effectively. The first step was to form a crisis management team comprising health experts, economic advisors, and security officials. This team was crucial in providing the data and insights needed to shape the government's response. Zelensky understood the importance of making informed decisions based on science and expert advice, especially in a health crisis of such magnitude. Recognizing the importance of clear communication during a crisis, Zelensky took to the media to keep the public informed. He regularly addressed the nation, explaining the measures the government was taking, the reasons behind them, and what was expected from the citizens. These addresses were not just informational, but also a way to calm fears and instill a sense of unity and purpose among the populace. As the virus spread, Zelensky's government implemented a series of measures to protect public health. These included lockdowns, travel restrictions, and the closure of non-essential businesses. Each decision was met with its own set of challenges. Lockdowns, while necessary to curb the spread of the virus, had significant economic repercussions. Small businesses struggled and unemployment rates rose. Zelensky was acutely aware of these impacts and worked to balance health priorities with economic needs. introducing financial support packages to help businesses and individuals cope with the economic strain. The healthcare system, under the pressure of increasing COVID-19 cases, needed immediate reinforcement. Zelensky's administration focused on increasing the capacity of hospitals, securing sufficient medical supplies, and ensuring healthcare workers were supported. This was a massive logistical undertaking involving both national resources and international aid. Another significant aspect of Zelensky's crisis management was the procurement and distribution of vaccines. As vaccines became available, his government faced the monumental task of securing doses in a highly competitive global market. Once vaccines were obtained, a national vaccination campaign was rolled out, which required careful planning and execution to reach millions of Ukrainians across the country. Throughout the pandemic, Zelensky faced criticism and scrutiny. His decisions were under constant review, and he had to navigate through both public apprehension and political opposition. However, he remained committed to his approach of transparency, evidence-based decision-making, and open communication. The COVID-19 pandemic was not the only crisis under Zelensky's presidency. Ukraine also faced environmental disasters and economic challenges during his term. Each crisis tested different aspects of his leadership. From his ability to respond quickly to his capacity to mobilize resources and unite the country in times of hardship. Through all these challenges, Zelensky's resilience was evident. He often spoke of the strength of the Ukrainian people, drawing on the nation's history of overcoming difficulties to inspire hope and determination. His leadership during these times, though not without fault, highlighted his growth from a novice politician to a national leader confronted with some of the most severe challenges a president could face. Chapter 14. War and Resilience. In 2022, Volodymyr Zelensky faced the greatest challenge of his presidency, and perhaps the most severe crisis in modern Ukrainian history, the Russian invasion of Ukraine. This dramatic event not only tested his leadership and resilience, but also his ability to inspire and unite both his nation and the international community. As the threat of invasion became imminent, Zelensky's initial steps were crucial. He understood the importance of maintaining a calm yet assertive presence. He addressed the nation, acknowledging the severity of the situation while calling for unity and resilience among the Ukrainian people. His message was clear. Ukraine would defend its sovereignty and freedom, no matter the challenges it faced. Zelensky's leadership style during this period was a blend of visibility and vulnerability. He stayed in Kiev, the capital, despite the dangers. This decision to remain at the heart of the conflict zone was a powerful statement of courage and solidarity with his people and troops. Videos of him in the streets of Kiev, wearing simple military attire, helped bolster the morale of Ukrainians and demonstrated his commitment to lead from the front. Communicating effectively with both the Ukrainian public and the global community was another pillar of Zelensky's strategy during the war. He used every media platform available to him to rally support, provide updates, and clarify the needs of his country. His messages were not only informative, but deeply emotional, resonating with people worldwide. His nightly addresses became a symbol of Ukrainian resistance and resilience. Internationally, Zelensky worked tirelessly to garner support for Ukraine. He spoke to global leaders, participated in international forums, and used social media to appeal to the broader public and governments around the world. His pleas for military aid, economic sanctions against Russia, and humanitarian assistance were forceful and compelling. The global response, included a significant increase in military and economic support for Ukraine, demonstrating the effectiveness of his outreach. Within Ukraine, Zelensky's focus was on strengthening the resolve of his armed forces and the civilian population. He signed decrees to mobilize troops and resources and enacted laws to support the war effort. His administration worked to ensure that the military was well equipped and that civilians had access to shelters, medical care, and emergency services. His visits to hospitals and meetings with soldiers and volunteers boosted spirits and underscored his role as a leader deeply connected to his people. Zelensky also faced the challenge of keeping the nation's spirits high, despite the adversity. He invoked the rich history of Ukrainian resilience and independence, calling upon the legacy of past generations who had defended the country's sovereignty. His speeches often referenced historical battles and heroes, drawing a parallel to the current struggle and reinforcing a sense of national pride and historical continuity. The war also highlighted Zelensky's ability to adapt and learn quickly. With no military background, he had to make decisions on complex military strategies and operations. His capacity to listen to military advisors, absorb information, and make informed decisions became crucial. His leadership in this regard was a testament to his commitment to his role and his country's cause. Despite the ongoing conflict, Zelensky managed to maintain a government that functioned under incredible pressure. He ensured that despite the war, there were efforts to continue economic activities, support displaced families, and maintain some semblance of normalcy where possible. Chapter 15. The Voice of the Nation. Volodymyr Zelensky's role as the President of Ukraine transcended traditional governance as he became a voice of the nation during tumultuous times. His ability to communicate effectively, both within his country and internationally, played a pivotal role in his leadership, particularly during crises that demanded a leader who could not only govern but also inspire and unite. Zelensky's approach to communication was deeply personal and direct. He understood the power of words and used them to build a bridge between his office and the people. His speeches often reflected a blend of sincerity and determination, designed not just to inform, but to motivate and rally the Ukrainian people. One of the most distinctive aspects of his communication was his regular use of social media. Unlike previous leaders, Zelensky leveraged these platforms not just for formal announcements, but to engage in real conversations with citizens. He shared videos and posts where he spoke directly to the camera, often in a simple setting, breaking down barriers that typically existed between a nation's leader and its citizens. This approach made him more accessible and relatable, and it was particularly effective in garnering the trust and affection of the younger demographic. During national addresses, Zelensky's tone and words were carefully chosen to resonate with a wide audience. He often started his speeches by acknowledging the challenges faced by the country, whether it was political instability, economic issues, or military conflicts. However, he consistently moved from acknowledging these difficulties to speaking about hope and the resilient spirit of the Ukrainian people. He cited historical examples of endurance and victory, drawing parallels to the present, and inspiring a sense of pride and continuity. Zelensky also excelled in crisis communication, a critical element of his presidency during events like the COVID-19 pandemic and the military conflicts. His addresses during these times were frequent and filled with empathy. He shared not only the steps his government was taking to manage the situations, but also expressed his personal concern for the well-being of every Ukrainian. This human touch differentiated his style from more traditional political speeches. His communication extended beyond domestic audiences. On the international stage, Zelensky was adept at using his speeches to garner global support. Speaking often in English to reach a wider audience, he articulated Ukraine's needs and positions clearly and passionately. His speeches at international forums and interviews with global media were poignant. They not only conveyed the challenges faced by Ukraine, but also highlighted the country's aspirations and pleas for international solidarity. A significant moment in his presidency was his speech to the United Nations, where he addressed global leaders about the urgency of international cooperation in face of aggression and conflict. His words were powerful, aimed at rallying support, but also at holding the international community accountable. He underscored the importance of unity and action, which resonated with not just the leaders, but also the global public. In moments of national celebration or commemoration, Zelensky's speeches were unifying and forward-looking. He spoke at military parades, independence events, and memorial services, each time tailoring his message to the occasion, but always emphasizing unity, progress, and the collective effort of all Ukrainians to build a better future. Under Zelensky's leadership, the role of a president as the communicator-in-chief was exemplified. His speeches and interactions were not just about passing information, but were instrumental in shaping public opinion, bolstering national morale, and positioning Ukraine on the global stage. Each word he spoke as a leader carried weight and was imbued with a sense of purpose, to inform, inspire, and unify. Chapter 16. The Personal Side. Volodymyr Zelensky's life, while dominated by his public role as the President of Ukraine, also encompasses a personal side marked by family, hobbies, and moments of quiet reflection. Understanding this aspect of his life offers a more rounded picture of the man behind the political facade, revealing how he balances the immense pressures of leadership with his responsibilities and joys as a husband, father, and individual. Born in a close-knit family, Zelensky has always emphasized the importance of maintaining strong family ties, even amidst his demanding political career. His wife, Olena, has been a cornerstone of his life since their university days. Their partnership, built on mutual respect and understanding, has been pivotal throughout his unexpected journey from a comedian and actor to the president. Olena has often been seen by his side during public appearances. But more than that, she has been his confidant and supporter, providing stability and comfort behind the scenes. Together they have 2 children, a daughter and a son, who bring immense joy and normalcy to Zelensky's life. Despite his hectic schedule, he strives to be an involved parent, making time to engage in their education and interests, ensuring that weekends or late evenings often involve family activities like watching movies, playing games, or simply talking about their day. This dedication to family time is not just a respite from his public duties, but a cherished priority that keeps him grounded. Zelensky also harbors personal interests that provide a necessary distraction from the stresses of leadership. He has a penchant for playing the piano, a hobby that offers him both relaxation and a creative outlet. Music, for Zelensky, is a form of escape and expression, allowing him to momentarily step away from the burdens of office and reconnect with himself. Another of his passions is sports. An avid sports enthusiast, Zelensky enjoys playing tennis and running. Physical activity serves as both a physical release and a mental break, helping him maintain his stamina and focus. His participation in marathons and sports events is not just for personal health, but often serves to promote and encourage a healthy lifestyle among Ukrainians. Zelensky's interest in technology and innovation is another facet of his personality. Always curious about new advancements, he integrates this passion into his governance, pushing for digital solutions to improve government services and public communication. This personal interest in tech is not only a hobby, but also reflects his forward-thinking approach to leadership. Aside from his hobbies and interests, Zelensky values humility and humor, traits that have significantly influenced his approach to both life and leadership. He often shares anecdotes from his personal life in speeches, using humor to connect with his audience on a human level. This approachability has endeared him to many, both in Ukraine and internationally. The importance of personal downtime and reflection is not lost on Zelensky. He often speaks about the value of quiet moments, which provide him with time to think and recharge. Whether it's a simple walk in the park or a quiet evening at home, these moments are crucial for maintaining his mental and emotional health. Chapter 17. Looking Ahead. As Volodymyr Zelensky looks ahead, his vision for Ukraine's future continues to be guided by a blend of optimism and realism. He faces a multitude of challenges, each demanding commitment and creativity, but his leadership is characterized by an enduring spirit and a relentless pursuit of better prospects for his nation. Zelensky's primary aspiration is to secure a peaceful and prosperous future for Ukraine. This goal drives his policies and his diplomatic efforts, especially in dealing with ongoing conflicts and economic hurdles. His forward-looking agenda includes strengthening Ukraine's international relationships, enhancing economic stability, and continuing the fight against corruption, which he sees as essential for laying the groundwork for long-term prosperity. Securing peace and enhancing security. One of Zelensky's most immediate goals is to secure a lasting peace in eastern Ukraine. The conflict there remains a significant focus, with Zelensky working tirelessly to find a resolution that respects Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity. He seeks to achieve this through diplomatic channels and international support, striving to bring stability to a region long plagued by unrest. Economic growth and innovation. Looking ahead, Zelensky is committed to transforming Ukraine's economy. He aims to foster an environment that encourages investment and innovation. His government plans to implement reforms that simplify business operations, enhance digital infrastructure, and attract foreign direct investment. These initiatives are designed not just to boost the economy, but to make Ukraine a leading player in technology and green energy, sectors he believes are crucial for future growth. Combating corruption. Another significant aspect of his vision involves a continued robust stance against corruption. Zelensky understands that for Ukraine to move forward, it must break free from the chains of corruption that have hindered its progress in the past. His administration is focused on creating transparent systems and strong legal frameworks that deter corrupt practices and promote fair governance. Healthcare and education. Improving healthcare and education systems is also at the forefront of Zelensky's future plans. He envisions a Ukraine where every citizen has access to quality healthcare services and where the education system equips young Ukrainians with the skills needed to succeed in a globalized world. Initiatives aimed at modernizing healthcare facilities and reforming educational curricula are critical parts of his long-term strategy. Cultural revival and national identity. Beyond economics and politics, Zelensky is passionate about fostering a strong sense of national identity. He promotes cultural initiatives that celebrate Ukrainian heritage, language, and arts. These efforts are not only about enriching the country's cultural landscape, but also about strengthening the communal bonds among its people, reinforcing a shared sense of pride and belonging. Engagement and dialogue with the public. Zelensky continues to prioritize direct engagement with the Ukrainian people. He believes that effective governance requires not only the input of politicians and experts, but also the voices of ordinary citizens. By maintaining an open dialogue with the public, he aims to ensure that his policies reflect the people's needs and aspirations. Looking to the future with hope. As Ukraine moves forward under Zelensky's leadership, there is a palpable sense of hope. Despite the challenges, there is an enduring belief in the resilience and potential of the Ukrainian nation. Zelensky's leadership is defined not just by the policies he implements, but by the optimism and determination he inspires in his people.